For centuries, Britain stood as a global economic powerhouse, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, the heart of a vast empire, and a leader in finance, innovation, and trade. But today, the signs of decline are everywhere. Stagnant wages, crumbling infrastructure, rising poverty, and a shrinking middle class paint a bleak picture. The UK, once a symbol of wealth and prosperity, is now struggling to keep up with its peers. So, what went wrong? How did Britain fall from grace? In this video, we'll uncover the shocking truth behind Britain's economic downfall, the political failures, the corporate greed, and the systemic issues that have turned one of the world's richest nations into a country fighting to stay afloat. At first glance, Britain still looks wealthy. London's skyline is dotted with skyscrapers, luxury cars fill the streets, and billionaires continue to buy up property. But this is a facade. The reality is that wealth in Britain is increasingly concentrated in the hands of a tiny elite, while the majority of citizens face financial hardship. According to recent studies, the UK has one of the highest levels of income inequality in Europe. The top 10% own nearly half of the country's wealth, while millions struggle with debt, low wages, and rising living costs. Britain's GDP growth has been sluggish for years, lagging behind other developed nations. Productivity, the key driver of long-term prosperity, has stagnated. While countries like Germany and the US invest heavily in technology and infrastructure, Britain has relied on short-term fixes, financial services, property bubbles, and consumer debt. This isn't sustainable. Without real economic growth, Britain's wealth is nothing more than an illusion propped up by borrowing and speculation. Britain was once the workshop of the world, leading in manufacturing, shipbuilding, and engineering. But over the past few decades, its industrial base has been gutted. Factories have closed, skilled jobs have vanished, and entire towns have been left in economic ruin. The decline began in the 1980s with deindustrialization, policies that prioritized finance over manufacturing. While this shift made London a global banking hub, it devastated the rest of the country. Today, Britain produces very little. Even iconic British brands like Rolls-Royce, Jaguar, and Mini are owned by foreign corporations. The country imports far more than it exports, leading to a chronic trade deficit. Unlike Germany, which maintains a strong industrial sector, Britain bet everything on finance. And now, as global markets shift, that gamble is backfiring. Without a strong manufacturing base, Britain lacks the economic resilience to weather crises. One of the biggest drains on British wealth is the housing crisis. Home ownership, once a cornerstone of middle-class life, is now out of reach for millions. Property prices have skyrocketed, driven by foreign investors, buy-to-let landlords, and a chronic shortage of affordable homes. The result? An entire generation locked out of the housing market, forced to spend half their income on rent while wealth flows to property tycoons. The UK government has done little to fix this. Instead of building social housing, politicians have encouraged speculation. Tax breaks for landlords, lax regulations on foreign buyers, and failed housing policies have turned homes into financial assets rather than places to live. The consequences are dire. Homelessness is rising, young people are delaying families, and economic mobility has stalled. A country where housing is treated as a casino for the rich cannot sustain real prosperity. In 2010, the UK government embarked on a brutal austerity program, slashing public spending in the name of deficit reduction. The effects have been catastrophic. Schools, hospitals, and social services have been starved of funding. Local councils are bankrupt. Police forces are stretched thin. The NHS, once the pride of Britain, is now in perpetual crisis, with waiting times at record highs. Austerity didn't just cut services, it crushed economic growth. By reducing government spending during a fragile recovery, Britain prolonged its stagnation. Meanwhile, the wealthy saw their taxes cut, while ordinary citizens paid the price. The Institute for Fiscal Studies estimates that austerity cost the average household thousands in lost services and benefits. Instead of investing in the future, Britain chose to shrink its state, and now the country is paying the price with crumbling infrastructure and a broken social safety net. In 2016, Britain voted to leave the European Union, a decision that has accelerated its economic decline. Brexit was sold as a way to regain sovereignty and boost prosperity. Instead, it has brought chaos. Trade barriers have hurt exporters, labor shortages have crippled industries, and investment has dried up. The UK's GDP growth has been among the weakest in the G7 since the referendum. Brexit didn't just damage the economy, it exposed deeper problems. The campaign was fueled by lies, nationalism, and a refusal to face economic realities. Now, Britain is isolated, with fewer trade deals, weaker influence, and a shrinking role on the world stage. While other European nations benefit from EU cooperation, Britain is left negotiating from a position of weakness. The dream of a global Britain has turned into a nightmare of red tape and lost opportunities. Behind Britain's decline is a culture of corruption and cronyism. From dodgy PPE contracts during COVID to tax breaks for billionaires, the system is rigged in favor of the wealthy. Politicians and corporate elites operate in a revolving door of power, where public office is a stepping stone to private riches. The UK's lax financial regulations have made it a haven for dirty money, with oligarchs and criminals laundering billions through London property. Meanwhile, ordinary Brits pay the price. Wages have stagnated for over a decade. Pensions are under threat. Public services are sold off to profit-driven corporations. The social contract, the idea that hard work leads to a better life, has been broken. While the rich get richer, the rest are left fighting over scraps. Can Britain recover? The situation is dire, but not hopeless. Some nations have bounced back from economic crises. Germany after reunification, South Korea after the Asian financial crisis. Britain could too, but it would require radical change. Rebuilding industry, investing in green energy, advanced manufacturing, and technology to create real jobs. Fixing housing, a massive social housing program, higher taxes on property speculation, and rent controls. Reversing austerity, properly funding the NHS, education, and infrastructure to boost long-term growth. Tackling corruption, closing tax loopholes, banning MPs from corporate lobbying, and cracking down on money laundering. Repairing Brexit damage, rebuilding trade ties, easing labor shortages, and regaining global trust. Without these reforms, Britain's decline will continue. The choice is simple. Either the country takes bold action to rebuild, or it accepts its fate as a second-rate economy, forever living in the shadow of its past glory. At least, not for most of its people. The wealth is there, but it's hoarded by a privileged few. The factories are gone, the houses are unaffordable, and the public services are crumbling. Brexit and austerity have made things worse, while corruption ensures the system stays rigged. But history shows that nations can recover if they face their problems head-on. Will Britain wake up and fight for its future? Or will it keep pretending everything is fine until it's too late? The answer will determine whether Britain remains a global player or becomes just another faded empire, remembered only for what it once was. What do you think? Is Britain's decline irreversible, or can it still turn things around? Let us know in the comments. And if you found this video eye-opening, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more hard-hitting analysis. Thanks for watching.